Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the history and the deeply complicated legacy of the Arab Spring. We're going to trace its path from a single desperate cry for dignity into a revolutionary wave that completely swept across the Middle East and North Africa, all the way to where things stand in our incredibly complex 2026 reality. 26. That was the age of Mohammed Bouazizi. You know, the Arab Spring didn't kick off with some highly coordinated political manifesto. It actually started with this Tunisian street vendor's tragic act of desperation. After local police confiscated his vegetable cart and publicly humiliated him, he set himself on fire. That single devastating event in late 2010, well, it started the whole shebang. Part 1. The Spark in Tunisia. What started as a highly localized cry against crushing poverty escalated incredibly fast. Just think about the sheer speed of this movement. In December 2010, Bouazizi's protest ignited the Jasmine Revolution. And after just 28 days of relentless, nationwide grassroots protests, President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali fled the country. In less than a month, a 23-year dictatorship entirely collapsed. That was literally the first time an Arab dictator had ever been toppled by a popular uprising. Part 2. The Contagion of Hope. So what started in Tunisia rapidly transformed into a full-blown regional firestorm. And a huge part of that was the technology. Facebook and Twitter weren't just places to post updates, they became absolutely vital, real-time logistical tools. Protesters used them to outmaneuver authorities, creating this true contagion of hope that just spread like wildfire across the region. And then these decades-old regimes suddenly began falling like dominoes. Take Egypt. Millions of people occupied Tahrir Square, and they ended Hosni Mubarak's 30-year rule in a mere 18 days. In Libya, the uprising evolved into a brutal civil war, and ultimately, with NATO intervention, the end of Muammar Gaddafi. Meanwhile, in Yemen, unrelenting pressure forced President Ali Abdullah Saleh to step down after a year. At the time, the momentum just felt completely unstoppable. Part 3. From spring to winter. But as we know, history is rarely a straight line of progress. The early days of the spring were defined by peaceful protest and just immense grassroots optimism. But by 2012, that really gave way to the sobering reality of the winter. These revolutionary movements either slammed into brutal, crushing state resistance, or they actually succeeded in toppling governments, only to leave terrifying power vacuums in their wake. This winter took a few deeply tragic trajectories. In Bahrain, pro-democracy protests were swiftly crushed with the aid of Saudi military intervention. Over in Syria, peaceful demonstrations devolved into a catastrophic, multi-sided civil war that has displaced millions and completely reshaped global geopolitics. And in the chaotic power vacuums left behind, especially in fractured states like Syria and Libya, extremist groups like ISIS found fertile ground to rapidly expand. Part 4. The 2026 Reality Check. Evaluating the situation from our vantage point in 2026, the ongoing pain of this transformation is just undeniable. Take Tunisia, which was initially celebrated as the big democratic success story. Well, today, it's struggling heavily with democratic backsliding. Egypt's early democratic elections ultimately yielded to a return of military-backed rule. The short-term regime change we saw in Libya, that left a completely fractured state with competing governments. And Syria remains locked in an ongoing frozen conflict amidst absolutely daunting reconstruction efforts. Now, to truly understand this legacy, we absolutely have to dismantle what's known as the social media myth. It's definitely true that platforms like Twitter and Facebook were essential for organizing, but they were really just the match. The powder keg was the physical reality on the ground: soaring food prices, crippling unemployment, and a massive youth bulge. We're talking millions of young citizens suffocating under systems that offered them zero political voice and zero economic opportunity. So, given everything we've traced today, from Mohammed Bouazizi's tragic spark, through that massive contagion of hope, and straight into the incredibly complex geopolitical realities of 2026, I want to leave you with this to chew on. Was the Arab Spring simply a localized firestorm of the past? Or is it a painful, ongoing evolution of regional transformation that we are all still living through today?